Well, I bring you back to the technical side. That was a great presentation from Mal. And we're going to discuss the final point of the structure of SNOMED CT and the different, uh, diving a bit deeper into maps. Kai showed a bit of this already when he showed how maps are exposed in the Fire API, but we will look a bit more into it and we will see a tool similar to the other one that allows you to create maps. So yeah, as you know, the health sector is a diverse sector in which we have many things to include and many things to coordinate between different systems. Yes, and sometimes we have local code systems, and local code systems are like ad hoc terminologies, custom terminologies that are created by doctors, by clinicians to perform particular things. And sometimes we have code systems that are particular for one domain, for billing or for like specialists, like the list procedures for particular specialty and the way they call them. So different domains in healthcare may have their own code systems, yes. And also, some people are using standardized classification systems like ICD or an ICPC. They want to keep using them for analytics, for analysis, and things like that. So a bit of the role of SNOMED implementation is to be able to not be completely disrupted, but rather to allow people to keep using other terminologies along with SNOMED CT. In order to do that, in order to make SNOMED CT work nicely with other terminologies, it, we do what are called maps. Yes, and maps is the way in which we can link the SNOMED CT content with content in another code systems. And there are, again, different use cases for that. Sometimes you have like this local list of terms that doctors are using or nurses, and we want to allow them to keep using those local list of terms. And then we map each one of them to SNOMED, and we use that for data entry. So they can record using their familiar terms, but each of those terms have a meaning in the SNOMED. Also, a very common use case is to use the maps for reporting, in which I code using SNOMED CT, and then I want to do a report using ICD-10 for public health statistics. A map to do that. Other one is knowledge linkage. Sometimes I have like a knowledge database that includes, for example, uh, medical interactions with conditions and medications, contraindications, and things like that. And I need to map SNOMED to these knowledge bases in order to be able to use the information stored in those knowledge bases. Patient interacts with which other one, for example, and I use a map. Sometimes I need to share the information with another system or with another country, and we agreed on using some particular terminology, and we use it. And this is the communication part is something that's relevant for France because I know that France has a diverse set of terminologies used for different purposes in the interoperability framework. But hospitals may use SNOMED, for example, for diagnosis, and then they can map to ICD-10 or ICD-11 for data exchange. So when you communicate with the recommended language in your environment. But when you code, you use a terminology that gives you the advantages that you need for coding, the level of detail and the extensibility. And also maps is used for migrating content from one version to the other. So mapping basically involves connecting things from one code system to another code system to say this code is equal to this code or is related to this code and this code is related to this other code. So basically this is called mapping and it has a direction. Usually you start from one code system and say, I will map to the other code system, which might be slightly different if you start from the other code system and maps to the first one. Yes, because the levels of details may not be the same. Yes, every time you specify a map, you declare the direction of the map by using the source and the target. You say this map starts here, this is a source, and ends here, this is a target. So seeing which one is the source and which one is the target is what defines the, the direction of the map. There is the possibility of create some bidirectional maps in which both codes are equivalent in one or the other. So when you create a map, for example, you can say that SNOMED ulcer of food, you can say, okay, this is related to MEDRA food ulcer. And in this case, you can see that it's a very similar meaning. It's the same meaning. It's an equivalent map between these two. But in other cases, for example, the code of SNOMED blister of ankle with infection, yes, this is SNOMED code. If you try to represent that in ICD-10, you will need two codes for that. Yes, you need to use S98, so other superficial injuries of ankle or foot, which is more general but includes the ankle, and then you need to say that it's an infection. Yes, maybe you need to add some additional information to specify which type of infection is. Sometimes the exact match between two terminologies is not possible. Yes, and then you need to define that the source is actually different from the target in the level of detail. And the association, for example, you can use if broad to narrow. If the source is more general and the target is more specific, you say that it's broad to narrow. For example, if you're mapping diabetes mellitus and then you choose a relationship to the diabetes mellitus type 1, it means that the source is broader and the target is narrower. And you can do the same the other way around. If you have arthritis of left knee and you map it to arthritis of knee. So you have narrow to broad. Yes, these are the different ways in which things can be related between two code systems. They can be equivalent, they can be narrow to broad or broad to narrow. And of course, when we want to share a map with other people, you create a reference set in SNOMED, like we said before. You assign the concept and you create an ID, and then you put the map inside the reference set structure so anyone can access the map using the terminology release. Yes, all the files that Mile was showing in the presentation. So when you have reference sets, you will see that there are different types of map that you can use, and especially we have the simple maps and the complex maps. Yes, and the simple maps, we can have versions that are from SNOMED, so it goes from SNOMED with the target in a different terminology, and the maps to SNOMED, which are the source is in a different terminology, and the target is in SNOMED. So the idea of the simple type maps is that they represent simple one-to-one relationships between maps. So, and we use the simple map to SNOMED CT reference set and the simple map from SNOMED CT reference set. And we have some examples here. Yes, in the two SNOMED CT, we had CTV3, the one of EDQM, the nursing, MEDRA, and SNOMED RT. And the from SNOMED CT, we have GMDM, ICDO, Orphanet. You can see with the units of measures for medications and things like that. So we will see a few of them. For example, let's see this one. This is the simple map SNOMED CT to ICDO. ICDO is the World Health Organization classification for oncology, for tumors. Yes, we have a simple map that goes from SNOMED to ICDO. In this case, we can see that the RefSet ID is the ID of the concept itself. Yes, and the reference component ID is each one of the concepts in SNOMED that we want to map. And we have the target, which is the target in ICDO, yes, because it's a map to ICDO. If we replace these with the names of the concepts, it's more clear. This is the table, how you see it in the file. Here we are looking at the names. This is like a process of the table. And we can see that the reference ID is always the SNOMED CT to ICDO simple map reference set. That's the concept that identifies the map. Then we have the reference component. For example, the morphological abnormality nodular melanoma is mapped to the concept of the term nodular melanoma in ICDO. And you can see how all relate to each other. Yes. So this is the ref set. The thing that you are mapping, the source of the map, because in this case, it's a map to ICDO. So the reference and component ID plays the role of the source, and the target is in the different terminology. ICDO terminology. Then we have the other type of maps, which is the complex and extended map from SNOMED CT that gives you more freedom about how you can link the different terminologies. Yes. And also it tries to help you choose the resolution if you have multiple maps. When you have multiple maps and only some of them apply on certain conditions, then you need to be able to define that in a way that can be interpreted by a computer. So let's see how a complex and extended map work. Yes. So we see the reference set, and this is a simple map reference set with the target code. It's really simple. You saw the attributes. It's a really simple table. The complex maps adds a few more columns. Yes, the extended maps has one more even from the complex, but it's a very small difference. These additional columns in the reference set allow the representation of the rules of map advice of different map types, etc. For example, some complex maps we have the ICD-9 CM maps, the ICPC2 maps, and the ICD-10 maps. The only ones that are really used today is the extended map to ICD-10. This is really much in use and it's a global one. The ICD-9 CM is more used in the US, and the ICPC2 now is deprecated, but the rest one, the ICD-10 one is the one that we use every day around the world. So in this example, when we want to map these concepts using these additional columns, we can see how the relationships are not one-to-one. So for example, all these concepts in SNOMED map to missless without complication. Yes, missless means without complication and a typical missless. All these is a lot of detail, and there are many more, of course. This is just an excerpt. But it's very common that maybe sometimes dozens or even hundreds of concepts in SNOMED map to the same ICD-10 code, because the ICD-10 code is more like a statistical category. Yes. And in other cases, we have concepts like otitis media caused by influenza A virus that map to two codes in ICD-10. Yes, one for influenza and one for otitis media. And in this case, the distinction is that both codes are true. The two codes apply for the reason. If you want to represent the whole meaning that is embedded in the SNOMED CT code, you need to use two ICD-10 codes. But in some cases, you may use a single code and you need like the primary code in ICD-10. So the map advice explains that if you need to have a primary code in your system, you need to choose this one, choose otitis media and viral diseases. This is a better one to represent the whole meaning than only the influenza. Yes. That's an additional column that defines the advice. Other use of the additional columns is to add some rules. SNOMED has a code for infertile, but when you go to ICD-10, actually you have female infertility and male infertility, and you need to use gender to choose from one or the other. And that rule that defines that if the patient is female and the SNOMED code is infertile, you need to go to N97.9. And if the patient is male, it should go to N46. Those rules are stored in the additional columns of the extended map. Yes. This is why it's not no simple map will not be able to do these things. You need to use an extended map to add these additional meanings. Yeah. So this is why it's called complex or extended map, because you have different ways to represent the relationship between the codes. Um, and now I would like to switch to a tool which is called Snap to SNOMED. You're seeing the tab now, and let me refresh to see if I'm logged in properly. A free tool as well, like the other one that anyone can use to create a subset. This is a tool people can use to create maps to SNOMED. Yes, that's what's called Snap to SNOMED. This tool doesn't support the complex maps like the complex map like the one in ICD-10. So it's a tool for simple maps with correlation, which is close to simple maps. And I have created a test to show you, a project to show you. You just go, you create a map, you select the terminology, and when you create a map, you upload a list of terms or concepts that you want to link to SNOMED CT. And this is an example, for example, for an entry data terminology. Let's say I go to some clinic and they are using this list of diseases. Yes, this is free text diseases that are not actually related to, they're not extracted from another terminology. This is a custom list. And I invented the code from D1 to D25. Yeah, 25 concepts here. And the goal of this tool is to help you find the right SNOMED code for each one of these. So you will allow, for example, someone to choose one of these in a clinical record, and then you will get the SNOMED code, the right SNOMED code for each one of them. And this tool is a tool that supports collaboration and supports that different people working in creating and reviewing maps. So let's say I do first map task. So I will assign the map to someone. So I would say, I assign to me all the concepts, yes, be mapped, and I click assign. Here you can see that it says you have no task on top. So once I create this assignment, I have a task that is 0% complete, yes, and I can go here and find my task. And this is my mapping task. I can click here, for example, and this will do an automatic search, and I have the concepts, and I have here the options to see how do I do the map. So heart disease is a source term, and a SNOMED contains heart disease disorder. Exactly, this is really good. This is a good match. So I grab it from here and I drop it in the equivalent field. It takes a bit and it's mapped. So now I can say, okay, this is mapped, and I go to the next one. The next one is cancer. And the cancer is a bit more complex. You have malignant neoplasm morphological abnormality and malignant neoplasm disorder. If there was an option while creating the map to restrict to disorders, for example, I should have done that. And now I get suggestions from things that are similar, but are not exactly what I need. So I need this one, the disorder. I can use this here. Then I go to to map, and I can go to the next one. But also, I can go back to the map task, yes? And I can say, okay, let's try an automap. This tool includes an algorithm that will search for similar terms and will pick the most similar term for me to validate. These ones that I did manually, I have the relationship in equivalent and the status is mapped. Now we run automap. And this is looking at each one of the concepts, trying to find the best match for each one of them. Yes. All of this needs to be validated. Yes. So I can look at here, I can open each one of them, or I can look at them here. If I open, I can say, okay, this is chronic disease of respiratory system. Not exactly, this is chronic lower respiratory disease, and this is not lower. So I can say that this is broader. Source target broader than the source. Chronic disease of respiratory system. So I put it there, and then I put it mapped, and I go to the next one. And this is cerebrovascular disease, stroke, and cerebrovascular disease. That's a bit more, so probably this is narrower. Yes, I can put it there, and I can go to the next one, and I have Alzheimer's disease, and this is equivalent, and I can do it one by one. Or I can go to the, and I can say, okay, this is map, this is map. I can do it from here. Or I can say, okay, all these, but this is wrong. For example, this is mapped to an occupation. So I need to go here, diabetes, and all diabetes mellitus here. So actually this is the one that is equivalent. I need to
Alejandro.
remove the dietitian. Yeah.
Yeah, did you say that you forgot to set the scope of the map?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Let me.
I wonder if that can be edited. I was just thinking it's going to have most impact when you use automap if you haven't set the scope.
Yeah,
And of course, we got
exactly.
some occupations and all sorts.
Yeah, it's not possible to edit that. You need to do it when you
Okay.
create the map. But
Okay.
here in target scope, I'm saying that there's an asterisk. So I'm saying everything is valued as a target for this map. But instead, I should have selected that because these are all diseases that only clinical findings should be allowed as targets of the map. And that will resolve some of the issues. For example, here, allergy is mapped to allergy qualifier value, which is not right. Yes, if I change that and start over, I would get a much better match for allergy. Yes, but it's interesting the error to see how it works. Or an
Yeah, it's a
intentional
good
injury. Yeah,
it's a good learning opportunity to show some bad mapping that because the map's not constrained.
exactly. Yeah, the same for an intentional. This is nice to see as well to show you the challenges that usually you get from when you're trying to map. Yes, unintentional injuries are not there. Yes, but maybe traumatic or not traumatic injury, maybe you can, or accidental injury, maybe you can say that this is fact, but similar. Unintentional or accidental is, I don't know, it's a bit similar, but it's not the same, or it is. And then you need to make all these decisions when you create a map. And when you complete the map, what you do is you create a review assignment. Yes, let's say I can do like a bulk operation, or I can assign these, for example, if I go to map and I create a task and I say, let's review the maps. And I say, I will ask Kai as a reviewer to review the maps that I already finished. Yes, so because these have mapped status, and I do the selected ones, and you can assign. And now Kai will have a similar UI to do that, and I can monitor the work of Kai to see how far he has gone on the revision. And after Kai reviews everything and approves everything, the status of the map will be confirmed. And when the status is approved, then and only then it will be possible to release a new version of the map. Yes, you can go to export and you can go and release the map. You go to import, you can import an existing map. Maybe you already have something in a spreadsheet or something like that, and you can import that content here, and this will be pre-populated for you. So this tool works for when you have an external terminology that wants to map to SNOMED. That's snap to SNOMED. Yeah, that's the trick of the name, the wordplay on the game, on the name. But it also works if you have an equivalent map. Yes, if you have something that goes in both directions, you can still use this tool and it will get you what you need. Exactly. It will allow you to find the code here. So it even when it's assigned to be used mapping things to SNOMED, you can still use it for other kinds of map when the relationship you get is relevant. Yes. So yes, this is Snap to SNOMED. Another option to create maps, like the previously we saw the RefSep tool. Thank you. This is technical parts about maps. Have a bit more time. I don't know if there's something else or ask or add.
Yeah, you were quick.
Yeah.
That's the end. All right. Yeah, we have reached the end of the presentations that we'd prepared. We've got a bit of time if there's any questions in the room or if we want to have discussion. Otherwise, we can wrap up early. Up to you.
I can show you one more thing, but Siteman may be interesting. I share the link now. This demo, yes, this demo is it's a demo that allows you to select the age of a patient, the gender, and you will select the right map in ICD-10, a preview to ICD-11, and the map to ICD-0. Yes, so in this case, if you pneumonia with ACE, you see the different codes. They're all true. You can get a glimpse of the priority of the maps, the rules, and the advice. This is the information used to make the decisions. In this case, it means that both maps are true. Yes, and lateralities like when you go to IC11, you can see this post-coordination, which is the way that IC11 allows you to combine codes with neoplasm in the right kidney. Go to something like infertile, you see that this is mapping to, this is IC11. In IC10, you have the rules to female and male, depending on the gender, and you have the green button here. And if you change to male, press them up, you get the green button on the other one, because this is using the patient information to choose the right code. And the same thing for osteomalacia. At this age, 35, you get 83, 89, but if it's older than 65, let's say 5, you refresh them up, you get the other concept. And if it's younger than 18, get the first concept. And you can read the rules. These are the rules interpretable by a computer, and these are the rules interpretable by. So I will share this. This is an example lung structure for the ICDO map. I will share this link with you in case you want how maps work.
Si jamais vous avez des questions ou souhaitez voir d'autres aspects des outils qui ont été présentés, d'autres aspects du navigateur ou autre, que ce soit à l'écrit ou à l'oral, en français ou en anglais, n'hésitez pas.
I didn't fully understand if the possibility to constrain the results of textual search is available, but I think I understood that it is not the case yet. And is it something that is planned to be integrated in Snap to SNOMED?
Yeah, it is. Let me show you how it works. We have time, so I can show you from scratch. So I'm sharing again the Snap to SNOMED. Yes, I will create a new map from scratch to show you how it works. Second try with a constraint.
Okay, I see it.
And I will see version 1, and I select here the diseases, common diseases. This is the set that we are testing. And I say, this is the source, because this is my list of codes. I can add one. If I click here, I can upload a new one, but I will use one that it's already loaded. And I will say I'm mapping to the international edition, to the latest release, or the April release, the June release. Yes, the June release. Perfect. And here, in the scope of the map, instead of selecting any SNOMED code like I did before, I would say clinical finding hierarchy. And you can see the ECL here that is restricting. I can even change the ECL for something I want, but I would use the clinical finding hierarchy. And this is what I forgot to do when I prepared the map previously, yes? So now I can add, for example, if I want to collaborate with Kai, I can add Kai here as an owner of the map, and we will work together in the map. He can review what I do and things like that. So now I start over. This is a new map, completely blank, yes? And I will go to tasks, and or let's say, remember one was allergy was giving us some problems, right? So let's go to task, and I will assign map task, and I will assign everything to me as an author, yes? And to me, and now I will go to the task. And if I go to allergy is here, and I go to allergy, previously we got like something else. Yes, and now the first match we have is allergic disposition finding. I think we had an occupation like before, right? Allergist or something like that. So I can say this allergy is allergy disposition. It's the same in the SNOMED. And if I go to the map, if I go to the view map section and I open the task, I can do the auto map now. Allergy is right there already mapped. I can go do the auto map, and this will run, but only choose things from the clinical finding hierarchy, disorders or clinical findings. So now we can see how everything is in the right place. Yes. It was just a matter of properly defining the scope here, that it was not defined before.
Okay, thank you.